Well, good morning, folks. Are we ready for a sprinkling of cringe? Because I got some cringe coming up for you. Rewind. So Viola Davis, a good actress. I like her. I still like her, I think. She's got a new film coming out called The Woman King. I never even knew about it until a couple of days ago. So again, kudos to the film company for pushing that one out there because I certainly didn't know about it. But it's doing the rounds at the moment, but probably not for the reasons you think it should be. So Davis has gone on his rant of sorts. It's a little bit strange why she would say this, that audiences who don't see The Woman King are supporting the narrative that black women cannot lead the box office globally. I will come back to her statement in a minute, but I do find this commentary a little egregious because you're implying that black women are ostracized from leading roles from certain films that don't get made with them starring in the leading role. But you got to think about Hollywood. It's a money-making machine. They have to cast the right person in the right project that will resonate with the audiences. And if your face don't fit that particular project, then I guess you don't get cast, right? It's just as simple as that. That's the way Hollywood has always been. And don't get me started about a lack of diversity in Hollywood. It's always been there, people. It's just that the narrative today in 2022, maybe beyond, but I hope it actually ends at some point. It likes to forget what's happened in previous decades. So this great article from Bounding Into Comics, you got to give them the credit here. So it's if you don't know what if you don't know what The Woman King is, it tells a fictionalized version of the 1823 Dahomey Revolt. So if you go to blackhistorymonth.org, they have a very good account here of what happens with the all-female tribe. Okay, so you have that. Now, I don't know, I haven't read this article, whether they actually talk about the stuff that Bounding in the Comics mentions, which I thought was a bit like, uh-oh. So Davis plays General Nansissa and her all-female Goji warriors as they fight to liberate their state from the subordination under the rival Oyo Empire. Despite the real-world Dahomey Kingdom having heavily participated in the era's Atlantic slave trade, slavers would regularly take humans from neighboring tribes by way of war or specifically targeted restocking raids and either selling them off to the Europeans or keeping them as personal trophies, with the practice only coming to an end thanks to the intervention of the British Navy. Reviews of the soon-to-be-released film indicate that Woman King will handle the subject by depicting his protagonist, played by Davis, as a leading voice in the opposition of the practice. Yikes. So, sounds to me like you've got an insufferable female in the making right there, and it's a shame because I do like Davis as an actress. She's pretty good. But to see her kind of going on this little rant is a little bit strange. Now, there is an interview of her here that I want to pull up. Yeah, here we go. So I'm just going to play this now. One thing I do see, and I have mentioned this before in my me video with Sophia Nonvetti, where Antoine Allen, in another interview with Steve Toussaint from House of the Dragon, like you have specially picked interviewers of color to interview actors and actresses of color. Why can't it just be whoever is great at the job of presenting and interviewing people? It feels like a very strategic move by the media companies to do this. I don't like it, but just hear what they got to say here.
Put that one on a t-shirt, right? Listen, how does it feel to come out and see how your mom is celebrated, and especially with a movie that presents black women in such an amazing and unique way?
Yeah, you see, so that's Viola Davis's daughter, and it's like, well, of course her daughter's going to say nice things about her superstar mum who pays their bills and puts a roof over their head. But I think the one thing they're missing from here, when you talk about, well, there's never been a black actress that's led a box office globally, First thought that comes to mind, and if you're a film aficionado, I'll call myself an enthusiast more than an aficionado, but I know a lot about films. The first person I think of is Pam Grier. Her and I forgot the other actress. Is it Tamara Brown? Is that who I'm thinking of? Okay, these women led the way in 1970s blaxploitation films in America. I've never seen Pam Grier standing on a podium moaning and groaning about the fact she's never been offered opportunities. She probably struggled to get into a mainstream film, and the only way in was blaxploitation movies, but it got her a face, it got her prominence, it got her a voice. So that's important, and I applaud all of that. And in Pam Grier, I've never seen her rage, rant, or moan about stuff. I mean, don't forget, in 1997, a certain film called Jackie Brown came out, made by Quentin Tarantino. I mean, the film did attract some controversy for its overuse of the N-word, but again, when a black person uses the N-word on screen against another black person, nobody seems to have a problem with that, so I don't quite get that. I enjoyed Jackie Brown, and it made money. It was made for $12 million. It made $74 million globally, box office wise. So what is Viola Davis talking about when she says a leading black female actress in a movie cannot command that presence at the box office? And again, you could probably argue as well, Jackie Brown was a Quentin Tarantino film. Everybody saw Pulp Fiction, everybody saw Reservoir Dogs, and they all loved it, and they all came out to see this one. But, that aside, it's just a bit of a tired narrative at the moment. I mean, Viola Davis, Lashana Lynch, John Boyega, you guys could just shut up and just talk about why we should come and see a movie. But you know what? I'm not going to go and see the film because I don't feel like I'll need to go and watch it. It's not really the kind of film I would give up maybe 2 hours of my life in the day and go out and watch like I would do any other film, because she does actually make a comparison to, say, Spider-Man and Iron Man. If you go see those films, why don't you come and see my film? So it's a little bit strange that she would come out with that diatribe. Now, the last thing I actually want to end this video with, and by the way, I mean, if you're talking about female empowerment, it got me thinking yesterday about this, because when you think about female empowerment, the two images that come to mind are Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton, and of course Ellen Ripley, Sigourney Weaver. Two women who got into phenomenal shape for those roles. I like the evolution of those characters because I think with both films it's like 8 years apart between the original films like Aliens and Terminator, and then 7 or 8 years apart, and then when we get the sequels, the women have changed dramatically, physically, and that is great. And I guess why we don't sing their praises enough, maybe it's because, I don't know, they're Caucasian and people have a problem with that. I've never had a problem with that. And I'll tell you what, when I saw Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2, and I saw it at a private screening back in 1991, I mean, the minute I saw her just doing those pull-ups inside her room, I'm like, God damn! Like, that was my reaction. I didn't roll my eyes. I never thought about, oh no, what's this messaging about women? It never came across why would it come across? It's the way the film was shot. You saw the first film, you knew how it was going to evolve in a certain manner. But you know what? Georgina Campbell, she's a big star at the moment. She's in a horror film called Barbarian, which I cannot wait to see in October. And I saw this idiot online. It was under the James Gunn tweet about everybody's getting mad about the new race-swapped Ariel's color, which, by the way, I think that video's hit 2 million dislikes already. And some idiot in the chat was like, oh, well, I thought Barbarian, it's got a black female lead actress. If you did your homework, my friend, Georgina Campbell has a Jamaican father and an English mother. So she's not really black, is she? She's mixed race, like President Obama. And that's the funny thing. If you're going to cast somebody black, get somebody black, not mixed, nothing else, and shove them in your movie, Hollywood. Why don't you do that? But it seems Hollywood is doing what it used to do back in the noughts and even before that. If you want a black actress, make a mixed race. It'll appeal to a wider audience out there. And that's me making that observation. I've always seen it. Tandy Newton has talked about it as well, how she was ostracized from certain roles because apparently... Oh, actually, it wasn't Tandy Newton. It was other actresses. I think it was Angela Griffith. That's who I'm thinking of. She used to be in Holby City. And she was talking about how she got... she wasn't considered for a leading role in the Hollywood movie because she wasn't light enough or black enough. And, you know, if you look at Angela Griffin, she's obviously in the same category as Georgina Campbell. But I can't wait to see Barbarian. I think, you know, from what I've heard, you know, she's really terrific in the movie. And that's great. But, the Woman King. Oh, my God. What do these reviews say here? So you get the usual shills. The Woman King is a dynamic epic that lives up to its regal title, says Russ Simmons of Kansas City FM. Kenji Fushimisha. The film is a historical action epic that, for all the novelty of its setting and subservience to contemporary attitudes, traffics in a lot of cliche narrative beats and ideologies. That for me right there would be a massive red flag. If you're talking about narrative beats and ideologies, are they bringing in today's crazy messaging for an historical set movie? I do wonder. Viola Davis, what a shame you have to go down this strange rabbit hole of telling us that we must watch your movie because you're a woman of color and you've got to support her globally. And this is going to pave the way for... If anything, you're just going to reinforce the fact we shouldn't come out and watch these kind of movies. Even though there might be a reason that it could be good, but you get people like Lashana Lynch and John Boyega just in the film, and I can't stand those two anyway. Lashana Lynch is the reason why I don't watch No Time to Die, and if I do watch it again, I skip her scenes. I go to Anna de Armas scene with Daniel Craig, then I watch that again a few times, and my movie experience is done. I'm finished. I can get on and do other things in my house. But last but not least, let's talk about a 1993 film called Bopper, starring Danny Glover as a black policeman in apartheid-controlled South Africa and works for a white boss played by Malcolm McDowell. I haven't seen this film, but what's very interesting is directed by no other than my name is Morgan Freeman. And I hear it's a really good film. Danny Glover, great actor. You don't see him walking around strutting his stuff saying, "You gotta go and see my film because I'm a leading black man." He doesn't do any of that shit. He gets on with the task at hand and just makes great films. That's why he's a much revered and much respected actor. I mean, outside of the Lethal Weapon franchise, the guy's done stuff like Grand Canyon, Witness. You know, the dude is a phenomenal actor, man. He really is. And I'm definitely going to watch this film because it's been on my radar for quite a while, but I never got around to watching it at that moment in time. Also, Danny Glover appeared in Silverado, directed by Lawrence Kasdan. No one at the time thought, why have we got a black cowboy in a genre that is traditionally tailored for white folks? Never thought that. And in the film, which also stars Kevin Kline and John Cleese, Cleese actually objects to a character in the movie who refers to Danny Glover by the N-word. And I thought that was a commendable moment. But of course, if a person of a different complexion white knights for the other person, oh yeah, white knighting, that's what you're doing. You know, it's considered frowned upon today. But back then, you know, it was just cool. It was seen as a sign of solidarity that you're standing up for your fellow human being because they've been thrown a slur at them. So guys, that's just a reaction video for you today about The Woman King. Very odd title, by the way, when you consider the crazy narrative spins and beats that we hear today in the world. It might be a good film, but if it's been paraded as an action film and it's like a Black Panther Part 2, yeah, I've got no reason to go and watch it. You know, I've seen this narrative beat before where certain categories of films have come out and people try to pressurize me to go and watching them. Nah, because if I want to watch a Asian film instead, like a Japanese film or a Chinese film or a film from Hong Kong, I'm going to watch those and I'm going to enjoy the shit out of them because they offer a different perspective on things. It's not because you're pressuring me to watch them. I'm watching them to open up my eyes. Hell, I've even gone back to watching some new wave French cinema from the 1960s, courtesy of Jean-Luc Godard. So rest in peace, dude. So guys, if you enjoyed this video today, make sure you leave a like below, hit that subscribe button, hit the share button, and if I were you, and if you were me, I would check out my next video.
Approved by 1970s Robert Redford.